Coming up on today's DLLS Stars podcast, the whole gang is here.
Can you keep it down? I'm trying to talk to
Crammed
Sean.
in the podcast studio, and we're going to talk about Stars. Jim Nill speaks about Jason
How far
Robertson.
Luds is from Owen.
Pete DeBoer spoke. Oh, man, do we have some stuff for you? And then squeeze in some prospect game talk, which you know Luds is super excited about, right here on DLS. Let's get it fired up.
Took me until right now.
It is Monday, September 15th, and this is the DLLS Stars podcast. Look at this, the whole panel. I don't think we've ever done this. No, I know we haven't done it. Alongside Craig Ludwig, the amalgamation man himself, Sean Shapiro, wearing the shirt.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sam actually wearing a DLS. We're all wearing DLS shirts. And, of course, our producer, Ryan Vodders. I'm Owen Newkirk.
This is green.
Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Check us out in the chat today as we go through the next hour. We have a lot to get to. Before we do, don't forget this is Big Brothers, Big Sisters donation month here for All City and DLLS. And this week we're back to the Super Chats being reverted to donation buttons. So last week we were asking you about being a big, try to sign up to become a big. But this week back to donating to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So in lieu of the normal Super Chats, check out that donation button on the YouTube live page. And let us know in the chat. We will give you a shout out if you've donated to Big Brothers, Big Sisters on behalf of DLS and All City. And speaking of DLLS and Sean's t-shirt and Luds' shirt and Sam's shirt and mine.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't plan this, by the way. DLS merchandise sale on sale today. 20% off just about everything. A couple of exceptions, but the Finnish Mafia shirt is 20% off. The Dallas collection shirts, the original, which are both Luds and Sean's today, they're on sale. And, of course, Sam's original Defend the Green. I've been told that the Stars Beat, our show, is the #1 DLLS show at selling more shirts that are Stars related than the Cowboys, Mavs, Rangers, you name it. Get them while they're on sale. We know you guys buy the Stars related shirts more than anybody else. Okay, showtime. Look at this. Whole gang is here.
All here.
This is fun.
We're all here.
And you know why we can't do this more often, right?
Because I made a life choice to move to a
years before this existed. Yes, but years before this place existed.
So we'll be clear, if this place had existed before I moved, I might not have moved. There's a
and I probably wouldn't be
on them.
Yeah.
It's on DNVR.
We're blaming All City.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Always nice to call out the corporate overlords, right?
I have no issue with that.
But this actually goes to Sean today, guys, because we were all, the three of us were out at Luds was in Tennessee for the weekend. Glad you made it back on the bus safely. And we were over at Frisco doing the Stars and Red Wings prospect tournaments, which were Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that, but not for a little bit because some other things have come out that we have to give more attention to first. We'll get to that in our third segment. We'll talk about the games a little bit. Sean, like you normally do, because you're both good and sneaky, is you find a way to, when these things happen, to quietly talk to the big guys. And you did it with Jim Nill on Saturday.
Yeah.
Wrote about it on your Substack. And we have to lead with it today because you got him on the record talking about Jason Robertson, which we've talked about all summer. The rumors out there of him being on the trade block, teams talking about what the value would be. You know, we had Jeff Merrick on, and he has his opinions on why he thinks that might be the case. I argued with him that I think that the Stars aren't afraid of an arbitration hearing in a year because they have team control this year and because he's an RFA still next year as well.
Yeah.
What did Jim Nill have to say to kind of set the record straight?
Yeah, and it's for Jim's perspective, and it's one of those conversations where I can tell when in speaking with Jim, and having covered him for a long time, I can tell there's times where certain topics have gone public for so long that they've gotten to kind of irked under his
Like
skin
it's
a little
been
bit.
long enough.
Like it's been like he's kind of held his silence, but been like, and it comes down to very forcefully in our conversation of, yeah, teams called about Jason Robertson. I'm actively trying to re-sign Jason Robertson, quote unquote. Stars, he's actively trying to re-sign Jason Robertson, and from his point of view on it, and this is something that obviously we can only tell exactly as Jim said to us, because who knows and how things always play out. But Jim said, hey, teams looked at our cap situation. If you were a smart GM, you would have looked at the Stars cap situation, saw they still had all of this cap space to move, thought, hey, it's probably going to be pretty hard for them to clear up this space to make everything work. Stars hadn't traded Mason Marchment yet, hadn't made the Matt Dumba trade yet. And so teams called about Jason Robertson. A lot of teams called about Jason Robertson. A lot of teams, apparently, also called about Wyatt Johnston. We heard no Wyatt Johnston stories because obviously...
You think that's because of the contract?
I think
because he had already signed his 8-year extension.
He had already signed and everything like that. But Jim basically said teams did their job and called and said, hey, you guys need to clear cap space. I could take Jason Robertson off your hands. I could take Wyatt Johnston off your hands.
Do you think it would be, I mean, of course they called, like if you're a general manager, Luds, and you're of another team, you see a team up against it and they've got to make, would you not be doing your job if you didn't call and check the temperature of, hey, maybe Jason Robertson's available?
Did he put a period on it here and put a cap on it here lately that it's not available?
I mean,
he's not available.
I mean, he
for
is,
the most part.
Yeah, he's not.
Why didn't he do that 3 months ago?
Because no one asked him.
Bullshit. Well, I doubt it. No, because I think.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Because you know what? I think you can every single time. If I'm general manager and we know we're getting Robo signed, no, we're signing them. You know, it might take a couple months, but we're signing them. So no, people stop calling, right? But if you don't do that, well, then maybe the door is open, and I'm okay with that because I think if you don't say no, but you don't say anything, other GMs may think, well, let's offer them this, because you just sit back and go, oh, wait a second. Hey, Jenko, come here.
Yeah.
You know, Brad, come here. We got to talk about this because they just did that. Like, you don't think Billy Guerin's going through this thing right now?
Oh, my
Of course
God.
he is.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And you see reports about Kaprizov
I'm just saying,
today.
he could have killed
Yeah.
this whole thing 3 months ago, I think.
But you can, and here's the other point where this goes. If you, as a GM, you have to make the calls, and if you don't take the calls, you're not doing your job, right?
You
Like,
have to take them,
like, you have,
and you have to
you
make.
have yes, like Mikko Rantanen is not a member of the Dallas Stars if Jim Nill doesn't make the ludicrous call to Carolina, right? Like and that's the thing where you don't know, like, all right, Rantanen only moves from Denver to Carolina because of the fact of, okay, somebody had to be, hey, what about this harebrained idea that everyone thought
Right,
will never work?
reaches out, and
Yeah.
Colorado gets to the point where we go, we are past the line where we are now
Yes.
afraid we'll lose him for nothing.
Yes.
And so rather than lose him, we're going to make a deal that we're comfortable with and be under control.
So the moral of the story, though, is would the Stars have traded Jason Robertson? Yes, they would have traded Jason Robertson. But the point is, they weren't. It wasn't a actively shopping. The whole thing that kind of
they
got,
weren't looking to
the
move him,
whole
right.
thing that got blown out of control and everything. And I remember when you guys had Jeff on, and I think Jeff does a really good job. But this is where I push back on him. The Stars were never, hey, let's trade Jason Robertson for a draft pick and a prospect and everything like that. It was always Jim's stance on any Jason Robertson trade would always have been, I need equal level assets coming back. I need something that helps this team right now. This is not a...
And there's nothing wrong, guys, with sitting back, letting them call and saying, blow me away. If you give, I mean, look, Luds, we say it all the time, but they traded Wayne Gretzky, so anybody can be traded.
Twice.
Just
right. And
before you go on, nobody ever blew me away, so I'm not going to be able to respond to whatever you're going to say. It's never happened. But I just want to say, from the player's standpoint, and all these things are out there, you kind of sit there from the other side and go, let him go ahead and think that we're going to move him, because maybe Jason calls his rep and says, listen, I want to get this done. I don't want to go anywhere.
I'm tired of this, hearing this stuff.
You know, and you might get that little bit of a bargain. He may say, listen, come down a couple $100,000. You know, I don't know where we're at, but you know, so I think they're, I mean, again, these guys have been doing this stuff since God was a cowboy. They're very good at it. They know how to play the game. But if you really want to put a pin in it, you can put a pin in it. That's my opinion.
That leads perfectly into the other part of your conversation with Jim about where's the contract negotiation.
Yeah.
Because that he told you he wants to get him signed.
Yeah.
Robo wants to sign. So why isn't it done?
And this is good. This is a very honest assessment of it is, why would he sign right now? And that is
say who's got the leverage.
Yeah, and that's 100%. That's what Jim said. If I'm Jason Robertson, why would I sign right now? Because I'm gonna wait. And it's one of those funny things where, as a GM, you intentionally, we know he was talking about Kaprizov. Like, he can't say the name Kirill Kaprizov because he is very
it's not his player.
It's not his player.
Right.
Very careful about meddling and everything like that. But he said, hey, there's some guys, big guys right now that aren't signed.
Well, you talk about McDavid
yes,
too.
yeah,
but
there's Robertson and Kaprizov are the more lockstep. They entered the league at the same time. Calder race.
Yeah.
And so if you are, if you're, Jim says, hey, there's lots of guys right now that aren't signed right now, and if you're Jason Robertson, why would you sign when you're waiting? And we all know that guy is asking for $16 million. If that guy gets $16 million, Jason Robertson is getting a really nice.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. Let's say, like, obviously, we were talking with Billy Guerin last week. He really appreciated the honesty that Robo gave him when talking about his first half of the year, the injury, getting back into it, not playing well, it messing with his confidence, finding that around Christmas after they'd already named their roster. And I think that if I said this last week, if Robo plays the way he did in the second half of the season, start this year, he's on the Olympic team. And I don't think there's much debate on it. That's an if he's playing that well. If he plays that way, he's also going to get a huge contract, more so than he would right now, because you were talking with Jim, and he says, I want him to get 100 points. If he has a good year with the money that's going on, the question is or his value goes up if you do want to make a move. It's
a win-win.
Is Mikko Rantanen's contract the ceiling for Dallas?
I thought for a second you were about to go with the very nuclear option of Bill really enjoyed how honest Jason Robertson was with him, so let's just trade him for Kaprizov.
Yeah,
let's
make
just
it simple.
Well, and that's what I mean. Billy said he loves them. He loves them. I love them. Like,
yes,
if
I would.
Jim's paying attention to our show, he ain't going to give him $128 million, but you know what I mean?
Would you trade Kaprizov
yes.
for
I don't even know what the rest of the question is.
Yes. He loves it.
I love him.
Even with the injury concern.
And I love him, and I guarantee that people are going to have 10 or 15 players ahead of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
But I love the way he plays the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never going to compare him to to the couple guys in Edmonton, but I like the way he plays. He's a guy that plays with an edge, and he's heavy, and he goes in. He's a superstar. He reminds me a little bit of Crosby, just a tiny bit, from the sense that Sid Crosby is a superstar, but he plays like a third liner.
Plays hard.
He goes into the hard areas. He does all the hard things. Yeah. And then you want to talk about some other players that are going to get a lot of money. They score goals. I like that, and everybody needs that. But if you got Kirill here, and, again, I know he's going to play harder in a lot of other areas than maybe Robo will. Mm-hmm. So, but he's going to command a lot more money too.
Can I say this on the internal cap hits? Because I think and I'm not sure whether Dallas will do this or not, but I think internal salary ceilings are the dumbest thing in sports. Because
just for the people that are maybe not understand is, if we're saying that you can't pay Thomas Harley more than Miro Heiskanen because we value Miro as our best defenseman, you can't pay Jason Robertson more than Mikko Rantanen because we think he's the best forward. You're saying that's dumb.
That's dumb. Markets change. Markets change. Caps go up. If you want to use anything, you can go, hey, percentage of the cap. When Miro signed, this was this X percentage of the cap. We can't sign Thomas for more than this X percentage. Mikko Rantanen, his $12 million was
the salary cap move.
Was whatever, right. I can't do the math on it, but whatever the percentage of $12 million is of 80 of whatever it is right now,
95.5.
Right? We can pay Jason $12 million. We just can't pay him more of the percentage of the cap than Mikko Rantanen.
And that seemed to be the breakdown in Colorado, because Rantanen even said, "I'm not asking more than Nate McKinnon.
Yeah. Right.
He gets this percentage. His salary is based on this." He goes, I don't want to be the same as him percentage-wise. I was going to be right next to it. But I'm not asking for more money than Nate, because Nate's going to get his money.
Yeah.
He's just saying by going off of the percentage of cap.
If it was a $100 million salary cap, then the math is easy.
Yes.
But it's 95, so it's like 12.6 would be. So that 12.6% of the cap is what Rantanen is this year. Now, that changes every year. His percentage goes down a little bit because it goes up.
If you say, okay, we're going to sign Jason Robertson for 12.5%, right? Just easy math, right? Okay. Well, the cap's at $100 million. $12.5 million.
So you're not giving him 15.
Yes, he's making more than Mikko Rantanen.
The number shouldn't matter.
But it's the internal cap hits are how teams start to overthink things and how they start to lose. And if you can't sell your players on the fact that, hey, markets change, then the players are holding themselves back.
Hold that thought, because I want to ask Luds a follow-up from the players' perspective, and then we have to get into Pete DeBoer. We have a lot to squeeze in today because we don't have a show on Wednesday, and we may or may not have another 31 guests for tomorrow. So that's why we're, instead of just doing this for one show and then the DeBoer stuff tomorrow, we've got to do it all today on DLLS.
What if I told you? The Monarch money.
You're just going to whisper this one?
Yeah.
I was just going to ask the same thing.
Yeah.
Whisper this one to you guys.
It's a
like
loud
this.
show here, Sam. Come on,
Monarch
get going.
money. No, the best and easiest way to manage your money. You can feel organized and confident in all of your finances. With Monarch Money, they are an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or phone. For me, it makes everything really simple. I mean, like many people, I probably couldn't even tell you the accounts and investments and different things that you have going on and maybe not even name all of them. So this makes it simple. Monarch Money, you put everything in there, helps you track, helps you save, but also helps you invest and do everything else, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. It's built for people with busy lives. You don't need to track every dollar, but ignoring your finances can cost you. The Monarch Money makes it easy to get ahead. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code DLLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DLLS.
All right, let's talk about Big Brothers, Big Sisters. You guys know that we're doing a big campaign as part of All City and their partnership with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. This was announced before the NFL draft, but here at DLLS, we've been teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America for an exciting 3-year partnership. That's part of our full All City collaboration with BBBS. This isn't just about sports, it's about community. Together, we're combining Big Brothers, Big Sisters' incredible youth mentoring programs with the passion and power of All City's local sports coverage to create something truly meaningful. The partnership, which kicked off with the NFL draft coverage, again, that was a while ago, doesn't stop there because we'll be working year-round to help support Big Brothers, Big Sisters through fundraising, content, events, and even opportunities for our team. So maybe you get to be involved directly. We're excited to support youth mentorship that really makes a difference. You can learn more and get involved at bbbs.org/allcity. Okay, before we talk about Pete DeBoer, which I didn't think we were going to hear his name this week, Luds, from a player's standpoint, is Sean's conversation about this percentage of the cap versus a ceiling of can't pay this guy more than this guy, is that all about trying to keep resentment out of the locker room? And is there less resentment if you go and say, hey, we're paying you the same percentage of the cap just went up since when we gave you your deal? Does that make it any easier for the players?
Hey, from my opinion,
yeah,
if there's a player on the team that's like that, I don't want him to be my teammate. That's just my opinion. I don't need you here.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. Again, I'm in a different zip code, right? You guys are getting your money. You're all going to be fine at some point. But and again, there's not going to be 4 players. We're talking about one player or the other player, right?
About a couple.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're talking about Robo and Rantanen right now, for instance.
but I'm also looking ahead at Thomas Harley and Miro Hastings.
And if any of that goes on and I'm part of that room, I'm like, guys, are you serious right now? Like, there's bigger things here. We're going to win a championship. You guys are getting your money, and you get $1 million more than he does, or $2 million, or whatever it is. But you're both making 12.
Yeah.
12 and one's making 14. I think you guys can get by with that. Look at the rest of us. We're all in this together.
Does that work? Smoothing it over like that?
I've never had a problem with it because I've been very fortunate having players like that wanted to win.
And also, Luds, also, you played at a time too where it wasn't public what everyone made.
Sure.
Like it wasn't.
Guys didn't know
it
what
wasn't
they
a
made.
spot.
Yeah. But I played with guys that like making it public. Beaker.
Yeah. No, and that's for Beaker. But my point, honestly, like if and you talk about guys who want to win. You talked about Crosby earlier, and hey, Crosby is a guy who's a superstar that plays with a third line. If Sidney Crosby
wanted to take some money,
yes, if he wanted to take more money, like him playing at 8.7, like he's done for his entire career. Now, it was a really good. People always look at that number like it was really good value when it first signed. Percentage of the cap, it was really high when it first signed. Yep. But he has continued to play below market value, so they've been able to keep Malkin signed. They've been able to do all of that. He's got 3 Stanley Cups. I think there's a lot of guys on that team that would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was going to look that up real quick because just to see his career earnings, well, he could have made a lot more. We all talk about how important it is to win, right? And we talk about with Connor McDavid, he wants to see certain things from the Oilers before signing to know that they'll still be
career earnings are going to be somewhere around $120 million.
Right now, it says for Sidney Crosby,
165 million, maybe
150.
Yeah. Okay, so, that's a ballpark. Just do 20 years times 8.
Is that right around yours?
Yeah, kind of right around there.
But that's
2 times 8, 16, 160 million.
Trade the difference between 150 and maybe 200 over his career to be a competitive team every year. Is that enough of a trade? And do players have to do that? Right? Do they have to give the hometown discount?
I think there's a lot of, and myself included, I can't comprehend what making $1 million. I mean, making $1 million.
No, but I could learn how to spend it.
No. But my point being is,
I know what you mean.
Once you get to a certain point, if you're making $5 or $6 million, is your life really that different?
Right.
Is
$1 million the same to you if you're making 8 versus 10?
It's all very much about ego. All of these
depends on if you want Ludz's private jet or if you want my bus.
Yeah, but it's all
private jet. Yeah.
It all comes down.
Not on my bucket list.
So much of it is ego, though, where players want to be paid X amount because it's the public. It's now public. It's not necessarily about the fine. Like Dustin Wolf and the goalies signing this week. Dustin Wolf and Spencer Knight, right?
Yep.
So Spencer Knight signing his deal. We talked about how is it going to impact this deal. It's not necessarily about Spencer Knight's life is going to be much different between 5.8 and 6.4 million. It's the difference of when you look at these public salaries, this is how we value players. What was the biggest problem with Radek Fox the first time he was around? Oh my God, that $3.2 million salary.
For a bottom six player.
That was the problem. If Radek Fox was making $2 million like he's going to be making now, he's never a problem. When you have those salaries public and the way they're attached.
Especially with how little they had left to spend.
Correct.
Yes.
So when it comes to that, and when it comes to the whole thing, if in a world where NHL players would be allowed to renegotiate their salaries, which they're not, you're not telling me that somewhere 4 or 5 years ago, Jim Nill and Jamie Benn have some conversation in an NFL style of like, hey,
let's restructure.
So you're not feeling the pressure of this $8.5 million per year that you have to.
And
keep,
you still get your money, but
you
stretch it out, and
like so
it's money and all that nonsense.
It's all ego and public perception that cap hits make.
All right, let's get
impact,
to Pete DeBoer here because I think we could just carry this on. Sam, Pete spoke to the NHL.com.
Yep.
You've been front and center with Pete, covering him all last year.
Breaks.
He
What
said
is that terminology?
following. So check this out.
DeBoer breaks.
So here we go. So Sean was getting confused by the little subheader.
Did it say Pete Breaks Speaks?
Yes. Pete breaks.
Man, they're just calling Ryan out.
Is that in Sam's article?
That's how I wrote it.
So here's what he said. This is Pete DeBoer. Listen, we were all to blame. This is talking about Game 5 pulling Jake Oettinger. We're coming up short again, and it starts with me. It was on me. It was on all the coaches. It was on all the players. It was on the organization as a whole. We all created the disappointment. We were all to blame, not just one guy. But, of course, he blamed just one guy. So then he went on to say, when all the questions at the post-game press conference were about Jake, I should have redirected the topic to reflect that this wasn't just about him. This was about all of us. We, and I stress the word we, did not get the job done. And then he went on to say, we were on a run in which we'd lost 6 of our past 7 games against Edmonton in the 3rd round dating back to 2024. In one of my answers, I said he lost 6 of 7 to them, but it wasn't just him. It was all of us. That's not on just one guy. I should have made that clear. Sam, these two are chomping at the bit to respond, but I'm going to let you go first.
All I'm going to say is this is someone we've talked about being stubborn, being his way or there's no other way. And while I want to give him credit for saying that, he quickly said, I'm never going to talk on this again after that. I'm not going to do this. This is my only interview. I'll reference this. He also...
Easy for him to say.
From everything being put together, it's not like Pete DeBoer came out and we talked about him not talking to Jake right away. Jake didn't talk to him other than a very basic exit interview. And then he called it a week later, a conversation about maybe this a little bit. So then Jake comments in this article about, just appreciating that he reflected and said that. The important one to me is that I should have made that clear. And if we look back to our show, I think it was when I was in New Jersey in the summer, we were talking about Golitzin getting hired and Pete fired. The big thing with everything that happened here was panic. We kept using the word panic. When you hear what Pete talks about, he's trying to figure out a timeout. He's trying to figure out how to stop the bleeding. He's trying to figure out what he should do. Everything in his brain, the coaching staff, you can see it on the bench. I talked to Casey at the golf event. He had no clue he was going in. So while it was handled very poorly, I think that this made it clearer that it maybe wasn't intentionally handled that way, if that makes any sense. He wasn't trying to make Jake Oettinger feel that pain in the moment, at least.
Do you buy this? Because I have some reservations about that. That's totally accurate. You?
Pete is a trained lawyer who had 6 months to prepare his statements, and I love Mike Zeisberger, who he did the interview with. But Mike Zeisberger is a good friend of his, who's covered him throughout his career. He didn't answer my calls at all summer. He didn't answer some other people's calls all summer, and so. And nothing. And when you answer with NHL.com, and it's an outlet where you intentionally are picking your place to have your silence. NHL.com is not an outlet that is going to push you one way or the other. It is going to be a very front forward. Hey, here's your words. Here's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be the, well, did you really mean that, Pete? There's no that NHL.com's job is not to do that.
Right.
They're not going to do that. So I look at this where I know. Coaches, we talked about optics earlier. This is all about controlling the optics the best way possible. So this is out there. Hey, this is all I'm going to refer to it. This is all I'm going to do it. And just like, I mean, it's for the much bigger reasons of when coaches lose their job, who they do their first interview with.
Oh yeah,
is the person they think will help best resuscitate their career. Pierre LeBrun, and I love Pierre, but Pierre gets more I was just fired coach interviews than anyone else in the business.
The rehabilitation guy.
If you are a coach who lost your job, you're probably answering Pierre's call before anyone else because Pierre's the insider who talks to everyone. He's going to be the guy you're going to talk to and give the nice story and the scoop to because he's going to get your name into conversations. So Pete is picking his places here. And the other thing is, I put it this way. I was at that press conference. I walked out of that press conference and ran into Pete walking out of that press conference. I don't think I've told this story publicly. I was walking out of that press conference walking by Pete.
Game 5, you're talking about.
After Game 5, I'm walking to him. We're walking towards the car where the players and coaches park at the AAC and talking to him. And I say, hey, thanks for just doing my media personal trade. Where I say, hey, thanks for working with us so well and everything like that. And so that just rough end of the season. And Pete said to me at that time, when we're just chatting loosely there of, well, man, just goaltending was the difference. Like, he believes this. Like, he is. So it's the whole, he is doing a good job of painting the public picture and the image, and that's fine. But let's call it what it is. This is spin control. He's gonna go win a medal for Canada at the Olympics. He's gonna have
hopefully silver.
Yes, he's gonna win a medal for Canada at the Olympics. He can wait all season for either the right job to open up, or he'll get
next summer,
or he'll get hired in June. When that $4.5 million is just sitting in his bank account from sitting this past season, and they'll be able to Pete. Let's be honest. The one thing missing from Pete's resume is an Olympic is a Stanley Cup championship or an Olympic medal. So if Pete goes and wins an Olympic medal with Canada this year, on top
Won't hurt his resume.
On top of his 4 nations, it's going to be whoever hires him next spring is going to be. We've brought in championship winning coach Pete DeBoer, 4 nations champion winner, Olympic medalist. He's going to have all of that. And he's spinning it the right way. So credit to him.
Yep.
His training worked. So
Buds, what do you think about all that and everything you just heard?
I'd like to use a couple of the C words, if I could. Yeah. So you have that 7-second delay button over there.
Ryan just got nervous over there.
I go back to what Sam was talking about at the end of the year. Pete lost his composure on the bench. Hands down, what he did. And we never really see that, right?
Oh,
yeah.
So he was flustered and frustrated and everything else. So you guys do scrums and all this other kind of stuff. Tell me, especially during the playoffs, if one coach is doing a scrum over there and the other coach is doing a scrum over here, are they doing them at the same time? Or are they allowing you guys to listen to one and then get to the other one? How does it work?
It depends on the venue. For the playoffs at that time of year, they're going,
especially the third round.
Yeah, for the playoffs, they're going separate. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it is, and so regular
So,
season, they're typically same time.
Would they typically do the winning coach first or the losing coach first?
It is typically the loser.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so you have as much time as you want before you come out to the podium.
Yep.
And again, he's to be, courteous and everything
Right.
else. Collect your thoughts. He didn't.
Yeah.
He has that. Again, he's not a rookie coach.
No.
No.
And you
Far
said he's a
from it.
lawyer.
Yeah.
he didn't collect he lost his composure in that period and never got him back until apparently this article right here.
And even in
and
the
now
article,
he's trying to dig himself out.
He described in the article that he was mad at himself, mad at the coaching staff, mad at the players, and he was, what do you call it, scatterbrained or
I mean, it literally
flutterbrained or
exactly
something.
what it looked like.
Yeah,
they're all kind of excuses
He
for throwing your
forgot to pull
goalie
his
under the
goalie.
bus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, who forgets to pull the goalie?
Right.
So
And-
that shows how many
And
more
the thing
things are
is,
going
is
through his
that
head.
in that quote, he's right. It is a we, not a him.
Yeah.
But he had multiple times to correct himself.
But he could have
Post-game,
just sat there
he could've-
before he walked out
Yes.
and just said, give me a couple minutes.
And even if he did, he could have then come back a day or two later when we
Yeah, the
talked to
exit
him,
interviews,
and he doubled down.
Yeah.
He could have just said, look, I don't lose my emotions. I did. It took me longer to get composure than it's ever had. That was a, frustration of we've lost 3 years in a row to this or two in the conference final.
And I
And
speak
he
I
didn't do
speak
that.
from going back 24 hours ago for me. Like, I left the bench at the end of our first period yesterday, and I was pissed. Like, and we were leading. And we're at a point where we're still trying to get a team to win. And I didn't wait. I got off the bench. I mean, they weren't even off the ice in the locker room yet, and I'm already there waiting to win. And then I kind of went, hang on now, just exactly. I finally did what I.
But you catch yourself a little, yeah.
And I waited, and I just waited, and I waited, and I went in, and I said my little thing, and then there was no, because we're still winning. We had won the first couple games, but you still get your point across, but you chill out a little bit because you got to take in everything, And I know it's not that easy, and especially when you're expected to, get past certain teams, and you don't, but shit, it happens, and he's pretty good at not getting to the finals. So it's not like it's, and I'm just saying he's been here before.
Yeah.
So
all the more reason why it was notable that he lost his composure.
Yeah.
Because he's been there before.
Yeah.
He's done
But
it.
that-
He
but-
knows how it feels.
and he knows how to react to it.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
That's my point.
What's interesting is everyone talks about his shelf life. I think you brought it up
Yeah.
a bunch.
Yeah.
And you talked about it. He's been there. 6 of the last 7, I think it is. He's been to the Western Conference Final or further. But he's also been fired twice in that time.
Yeah.
That right there should tell you everything.
Yep.
That guy clearly has a shelf life in the room with the players, whatever it might be, that doesn't have to do with him getting far but not winning.
Boy, interesting that it came back up. It's like reopening an old wound. But again, talk lots more, probably not about Pete DeBoer in the next week or so, but about Jake Oettinger and getting this team ready under Glenn Cullis.
We'll wait till Palace and playing them.
It's
this
going to
year.
happen.
It'll happen. It will happen.
It will happen
It's-
sooner than later. I don't know if it'll be during the year or next year, but I fully expect him to be employed.
If I'm him,
Anaheim.
I wait through the end of the season, and then we go to an ad break first. So
We're going to talk about Sean's shirt next here on DLLS.
Everybody shut up.
I got a shirt.
Sean's going to talk about Sean's shirt.
I got a shirt. This is the first.
Still has the brand new creases
it
on
does. It has the new creases. It's got a nice amalgamation of mascots on it.
That
and
is,
the,
God, that is ugly.
it. Such a perfect shirt
And it
for
is
you.
the
It's so amazing.
it is the first shirt I have that is not just the DLS Skyline shirt. So I feel
We gotta
very,
get you some more.
very
That's
happy
good.
to have
Nice.
this, and you too can have more DLS shirts.
I would like to point out I did buy this.
Okay.
I paid for this.
Yes.
Employee discount, but I still pay. It wasn't like
But
I waited for
you know
a
what?
free one.
This is perfect. Like
Yeah.
people get an employee discount. Our viewers can get their own employee
That's
discount
right.
of 20% off on the
Wow.
warehouse sale. What if I told you you could get a shirt like Owen with a similar deal that Owen got? 20% off the warehouse sale.
Up to 85.
Yeah,
Some of the ones that are on sale.
Up to
Wow.
85% off.
85% off?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
that's
looked
like,
at
that's
this
like
earlier.
free.
Yeah, that's
So
basically free.
You go to
I'll get another one of those
alldls.com,
sweatshirts.
right? I know I'm jumping in on Sean's
Are they
read, but I'm
used
excited
or are they
about it.
new?
Yeah, they're
Brand
the ones
new.
I didn't like.
85% off?
So
Yeah, up to.
if you're curious about it, let's just look at.
up to?
Let's read some prices off.
So
I don't
yeah,
have to talk
for
about
example,
the price.
the Otter shirt, $34.99 normal price, $27.99.
What's Pete DeBoer's price?
Ooh, probably
We-
$50.
We never had a
He's got to
coach-
pay.
You can't
play
get
more.
a coach shirt because then it'll just be gone in 2 years.
Don't you
Yeah.
think there should be a picture of Otter with DeBoer in the back just spitting?
Let's-
Then you'd have to combine that with the Marc-Andre Fleury with the sword
Yes.
and the Robin Leonard. I don't even know where you go with on that. So
Someone
Yep.
should make the Jake Oettinger with it just plunging a sword into Pete's.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
be good.
or the
That'd be a seller.
Yeah, that would
Pete DeBoer with like the trail of goalies.
but I like the
Yeah.
I like Jake.
Hey, by the way, you can
Our show
also
might
join
be
the
off the
supporters
air,
club,
but-
which is true sicko level stuff. Bonus membership on top of being a diehard. It's pretty cool. Get behind the scenes things. You get some cool badges, some cool tags. We can see when you chat. So go join that now. Supporters club.
Perfect, Sam.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, let's go to The thing that we thought we'd lead with, but then, of course, Sean's journalistic integrity and then Pete DeBoer speaking to Mike Zeisberger led it to some other stories. But the prospect games.
Mm-hmm.
So, Luds, we aren't going to lose you entirely.
I'll take this segment.
You could just walk off the set for a minute because Luds had his own games to deal with this weekend in Nashville. But all right, first and foremost, the games itself. Then we'll get into what the overarching meeting is.
Yeah.
Detroit won the first one. Dallas won the second one. Sean, you and I sat there on Saturday night. You said this is exactly how it's supposed to play out because of the rosters that were in this tournament, this two-team tournament.
Yeah, and I would argue Sunday played out the exact same way as kind of expected with the full chaos. Like, prospect games they're fun and chaotic, but that's what they are. They're sloppy chaos for a bunch of 19 to 22-year-olds playing their first real games of the summer. And the Detroit lineup rolled Dallas, frankly, in game one. I think they also outplayed them in game two. But Michael, I mean, the Detroit brought a USHL goalie who looked a lot like a USHL goalie, and they and Dallas won 6-5. And at least some of the, I guess, not the paying fans, but the fans who paid $15 to park and then got free tickets to entry.
And paid at the concession stand. There was still money to be made.
Yeah. So it was.
Quickly on that note, I thought there was better. I know the tickets were free, but better attended than I expected.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good crowds both Saturday and Sunday night.
Yeah. I would say that was kind of, I'll just be honest, one of my concerns would people show up for this, because this event has always been, and I have a soft spot for the Traverse City tournament because it's been going on for so long. I've gone up there, but
it's also a fun trip for you
It's
guys.
a fun trip for me. You get to go play golf by the lake in September, right? Like, you can't complain about these things.
Great weather in northern Michigan.
But I always think about that Traverse City tournament. The reason it exists and it runs is there's a group of about 20 to 30 volunteers that have put together and run that tournament for years, and they put all of their life kind of timing into getting all of this up and everything like that. And so I kind of felt bad for that group of people if they were to be sitting at home turning this on, and then it was going to be crickets in the arena. So that's why I was very happy to see people in the building, because it's something that is well attended typically, for obviously much smaller venue, but is well attended when it's in the other place. So, but for me, the biggest takeaway with this, and I don't want to, they're prospect games, so they're for things can time can change and guys can grow and everything like that. I unfortunately, from a Stars perspective, came away more disappointed than anything.
Why?
Because, and I'm even show up, like when I scout a game, I go through and I build out my notes, and I usually put about 4 or 5 names I'm going to watch before, because I'm expecting to watch a lot from them. This is my first game for Emil Hemming. Emil Hemming and Cameron Schmidt.
There's a lot of blank space.
There's a
on
lot
that
of
page.
the blank spaces. I have a note about Hemming throwing a neutral zone hit and trying a zone entry, and he also played on the penalty kill.
Tries a lot of entries.
That's all he did in the game. And it's and then Cameron Schmidt. I know there was a play where ECHL level player from Detroit basically stole the puck from him in the defensive zone, which is a lack of awareness for a player playing against a guy who has some pro experience. So I came away more so from a Dallas perspective of they're the guys I wanted to see more from, did not deliver. And that was just, it was like, okay, I want to see how Hemming, could Hemming be, because Hemming has the option right now of, and the intriguing part of him is he has the option where he might be able to play at Texas. We are still figuring that out. The 19-year-old rule is still
because he was drafted out of Finland.
He was drafted out of Finland.
So
CHL. And this is not related just to the 19-year-old rule, but he was drafted out of Finland. And so it's just like when Julius Hanka was with the Stars and not drafted out of Swift Current, but was technically on loan to Swift Current. So the Stars were able to get him to Texas as an AHL, as a 19-year-old. So I was watching Hemming think like, okay, is he going to show me something where the Stars might say, hey, it might be worth him playing in Texas this year? He looked so overwhelmed.
Yeah,
he just looked. It's like, okay, he's got to go back to Barrie. And so I kind
which
of,
is a good thing because
that's fine. That's fine. But like that was my kind of from a playing perspective of I learned things that I'm not going to learn about some of these players without this kind of peer-to-peer competition.
Okay, so we know that Detroit has a much deeper prospect pool right now.
I mean, they haven't made the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs for 10 years.
So
you would gladly trade. They would gladly trade places with Dallas.
So Stars fans, don't feel bad if you look at it and go, "Wow, there are a lot bigger prospects or more of them with Detroit than in Dallas."
Mm-hmm.
But of the ones that you saw, who stood out to you for Dallas in a positive or negative way. What were your big takeaways?
Yeah, I loved Trey Taylor.
He was good.
I know he was
really
one
good,
we talked about it last week.
You'd like the way this defenseman skates.
Man, he is just
smooth,
super
really
mobile.
smooth.
He uses the 10 and 2s and hit a lot to just whether it's just a quick hesitation to get in his zone or whether to walk the line.
He does it a lot the way Harley does. He doesn't look like Antonio Stranges, who seems like he does that all the time.
Oh, the Stranges Mohawk.
He's not a gimmicky that way, but Harley is always seemingly opening his hips to where the play is, and Taylor does that.
Yep. He does it really well. He's super smart. I mean, defensively, he was very solid. He made a bunch of good plays, but the one play that his goal was so telling of what he is as a player. He makes a play in his own end. They jump up. I think the Stars scored every goal in transition, pretty sure yesterday, or off the forecheck.
Yeah.
But in transition, they jump up. I don't know if it was a 3-on-2 or what exactly, but Taylor doesn't just jump up in the rush. He jumped up in the rush, delays just enough, finds that open spot so that the guy can make the pass. It's on his stick up in the top corner over the blocker in a second. And he's just got that elite level of what people expect. Was he 23?
Yeah, he's 23.
Played a bunch of college. He came up to Texas last year, and he looked really good.
With them in Texas last year.
So he ended up being on the top pairing with Tristan Bertucci, who I also really liked his game. But Trey Taylor was the standout for me the whole weekend.
Taylor is really interesting because I think he is the type of player you're going to need to become in about 2-3 years from now. You're going to need to fill your third pair with a guy like that because we know Thomas Harley's going to get paid a ton. We know some of these guys who you've got lower in the lineup right now are going to. There's going to be some evolution of age, and you're going to need, whether it's Trey Taylor or someone else, you're going to need someone playing around 1.2, 1.3 because that's where the cap will be at that time. And as ELCs will also go up, you're going to need someone playing around that number. And that's kind of the things you kind of watch with Taylor. And you're like, okay, this is the guy who's going to fit not just on the ice this way. And he can do his game and play his game about 12, 13 minutes because that's what a third pairing guy in Dallas is probably going to have. But he's also going to, if you take the time to meet with him and chat with him, he's the guy who's going to fit in a room the right way.
Yeah.
Understands what my job is.
He made a great impression talking to us after the game Saturday.
Yeah. And
introduced himself to everybody.
Yeah, he does that.
Friendly.
He does that.
And I know that sometimes you can be skewed going, oh, I like this guy. It doesn't necessarily make him a better hockey player, but he definitely came across very well.
A good Trey Taylor story that I was told before, and it's funny to look at it after kind of talking to myself for the first time in depth this weekend, is when he was, it was Clarkson, right?
Yep.
Clarkson. When he was a UFA coming out of Clarkson, and that's the time when all of those guys are hot, and whatever. When you're a college free agent, you are the biggest deal.
Did he just say hot shit?
I think he caught it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
you said it, but you already said it earlier. So this show is already.
I thought I was already
R-rated.
I thought I was muted this segment. I didn't think I was on.
So he's when you're the college free agent and every team is after you, like everyone was talking to Trey Taylor. I've talked to people who said he was very much selling him, like he was going into the conversation with people, like trying to sell teams on him. And it was one of those things where I spoke to some people from the Stars and spoke to another team that spoke to him as well, where they said, hey, this kid he basically got to pick his destination. Yeah. He wasn't going into the job interview. He was going into a job interview proving he was the right person, where as opposed to some of these guys where it's like, you feel like you're having to sell the team on him. And so it's impressive to hear that story, and it's impressive to see him in person. Like the other quick one, just so we keep Ryan on track and we get to our next break. Arno Tiefensee.
Well, we can carry over this a little bit because we have NHL news and notes. We can always push that.
But say that one more time.
Arno Tiefensee.
Yeah.
He's German.
Yes.
He's German. But
everyone was saying Tiefensee.
Yeah.
Or Tiefensee. So Sean,
Arno said Arno Tiefensee. That's what he said to me. And then I repeated it back to him and he said, that's pretty good. So we're going to go with that. So goalie who played the game yesterday, Ben Krause played on Saturday night. Really interesting. He was drafted as an overager out of Germany, signed out of, played at Mannheim the past couple of years. Really cool. Quick side note: his hair was about here for about 2.5 years. Cut it all off for I don't know what organization exactly it was, but one that makes wigs for kids with disadvantaged children. So really cool,
like cancer and stuff.
Yeah, really cool story there. But he is someone who I think is an intriguing spot because one of the long-term goals for the Stars right now is at some point you will have to find not necessarily the heir apparent to Jake because he signed for 8 years. So it's not finding that. It's finding the guy who 3-4 years from now can be the guy who comes in and be his 1B. And I think Arno is a very interesting goalie to watch on that perspective. 6'5", looks a lot like UC Runas in the way he plays. Like he looks very similar style to that, but younger, a little bit more athleticism. And I'm interested to watch him play, and I really hope they send him to, and I'll probably write something about this week for my full reasoning on this, but I'm really hoping they actually send him to Idaho to start this year, because I think Remy Poirier should be in a tandem with Ben Cross. Yes, and yeah. I think Arno should be the starter in Idaho.
By the way, don't take anything into Ben Cross' performance on Saturday
night.
Oh,
it was a horrible game.
Because the team in front of him,
oh my God,
all the goals were wide open in Ludd's favorite place, the high danger area.
Yeah.
And he was getting no help in front of him. But, and actually, I thought played pretty well.
He did, yeah. But I would like to see, just from a long-term runway, I would love to see Arno be the starter in Idaho. I'd love to see, hey, you're coming over from Germany. There's going to be some lumps. There's going to be some ups and downs. Yeah. Give him the net. Let him play in Idaho. Don't put it under the pressure. And he's going to end up playing games in Texas. As much as we like to believe the Stars will stay healthy all year, it's more likely in the NHL to use 4 goalies in a season than 2. So at some point, Remy Poirier will be called up to back up in an NHL game for injury or whatever reason. So Arno will get his AHL opportunity at some point. So I would love to see that kid kind of run with it in Idaho.
All right, up next, I'm going to ask Luds about the Prospect games, not the games itself, but something about the tournament as we then get into some NHL news and notes, depending on how much time we have here on DLLS. But first, Sam, it's Sean.
Oh, which one are we on first?
No, I'm just saying Sam because you're next to me.
Sam, relax. It's Sean.
That's right.
I think that's what he was
Thank you, Luds. Yes.
Die Hard, right?
Game time.
Die
Hard. Die Hard is the program where you can get a wonderful shirt like this. I have a shirt for a prop. I'm going to overuse it.
I should very much use it.
Overuse it, but I'm used to pointing to a QR code, and I'm pointing that way now. I think
that's how
it works. I'm not used to the.
Luds is better at it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there. There's the QR code right there. So
I can't
right by Luds' knee.
Scan that QR code. Become a diehard. It's a great program for various reasons. You get some of the great writing that Sam does, some of the great writing that people do on the Mavericks and the Rangers, some of my mediocre writing as well. Sam's is great, mine is mediocre.
Very self-deprecating.
You also get to join a pretty cool community in the DLLS Discord, or Lud's Dam Discord as we like to call it. You get to join there. There's a pretty cool community of fans. We met some of them. I got to meet a couple at the this weekend at the Prospect games. People came up and said hello. Really cool to kind of see how that's grown.
We had a couple of guys wave at us during Saturday, and you were like, you thought you didn't know what they were, and then they started spelling out DLLS with their hands, and I said, oh, they're diehards.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I'm oblivious in
Fans
person.
of the show.
I'm oblivious in person. I'm oblivious at all times, so I'm willing to admit that. So
a DLS diehard contingent drove up to Frisco from the Austin area. How about that?
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's cool. So
let me talk to you really quickly about
community.
The ball knower bonus, because if you're a diehard, and we talked about the merchandise sale, well, guess what? You can do a 2-for-1 here, or 3-for-1 if you really do. Become a diehard.
That sounds good.
You get a discount on merchandise. Merch is on sale right now, and you can use the purchase that you're about to make and win more gift cards. All the ball knower bonus. All you have to do, go into the Stars or the alldls.com website, click on ball knower bonus, pick, like for example, Cowboys Bears this weekend. Total points. Decide whether you get it right or not. Spend $25 or more on merch. If you're right, you get a bonus gift card worth the amount you spent. So you could literally double your money on merch. So check that out. Dallas versus Chicago, San Francisco, Arizona. We've got Philly and the LA Rams. They've got some college games up there. Have some fun with it. All right, let's now on the Prospect thing. Jim Nill told Sean something on Saturday night that I thought was interesting, and I wanted to get your take from a development and evaluation standpoint. Not the games itself, because we watched them, we know what they were, but the future of it, right? Sean talked about the shame of what Traverse City used to be. 8 teams, basically scouts from all 30-plus teams, depending on how that many were in the league at that time. And now it's just down to 2. And this time, for the first time, it's in Frisco and not up in Michigan. Jim told Sean, and I'm not trying to stomp on the rest of his story, but I want to get to you as a question, that they would like to get a 3rd team. And so then they have maybe a 3-team rotation of who hosts every 3rd year. So it sort of shares the cost. You also save money when you're the hosts because you don't have to travel. And you get to play different teams, right? Because these 2 games were, aside from 1 or 2 lineup changes, basically the same teams playing each other twice. Does it matter in your mind? Because Jim made a big point to say playing 4 games over 5 days when they were playing the round robin and then maybe playing the 3rd place game, 5th place game, or a final was a lot, and you're getting injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants 2 games. Does having something to play for, a trophy, you have a chance to win games to get to a final? Because right now, 2 teams, they're going to play 2 games. Win or lose, doesn't really matter. Now, it does for competitive standpoint. Coaches and evaluators of the GMs and hockey ups, they all want to go put your best foot forward in front of those guys. But there's no competition in the sense of we get 2 points tonight, we get 3 points for a win here, we get to the final, we get a chance to take a trophy home. Does that matter?
Yeah, I think you want to you'd like to. I mean, a couple things for me. I think anytime that you can play a couple teams in a few days or whatever it may be, it's way better than playing the same team. I think you want to see how players. Sometimes you play against a team and you kind of know what you're getting, which is fine. But I think I want to be able to see if that player can react to a different type of player, and you know what I mean, because you get a little bit of an advantage, so you kind of want to see how he can change his style or change how he competes against a player that's more skilled or more physical or whatever it may be. I think anytime you put something on the table, I think you want to find out the competitive juices of the people that you're playing or that you're contemplating having on your team. If that kid, regardless if it means nothing, if you're giving him an electrical outlet but if that's what you're gonna, I want to see him. I want to see somebody compete. That's the first thing I looked at.
Okay.
So I could.
I was wondering.
I could have said the broken chair,
like,
but we have booby prizes here in the studio. No, I mean I want to because I think you want to know what players will get outside their comfort zone to win a championship. And I know it's not a big championship, but where is their competitiveness? When there's something on the line. And again, I think everybody would say, well, he should because he's competing for a job. That's true. He is, but now we know he's competing for a job. But when you put a different carrot in front of him, do you see something else come out of him? Do
they come together as a team?
I mean, I tell kids, just to be able to get to a championship game on a weekend, if that's what you're doing, and I'll just tell them, what, if you got to put your face in front of a puck and eat it, that's what you do. Yeah. That's what you do to get to that opportunity. Because what happens is the people that are watching you, sometimes they're sprinkled around that game and that rink, but they all congregate for the championship one. So they're all sitting up there to see which ones can play under these circumstances. And so you have another opportunity on that typical stage, but everybody's going to be watching this game. There may be some guys that didn't see you prior to that. Now when you play in that game, sometimes, and Sean knows, there's times you get to these big events, some guy, and they say they start on Thursdays, there's guys that don't even come in until Saturday morning. You know what I mean? And so if you're already out of it by Saturday or you haven't competed enough to be there, so you have better odds, better chances for someone to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you if you're in that game.
And I think just on kind of that point, I think one of the things we also saw, if you're playing a new team, the meter goes up a bit. So I watched, obviously, knowing a bunch of those Detroit players and look at some of the things that happened to Detroit in the second game. Detroit cranked Dallas on Saturday. There's some of those guys on that Detroit team who coasted a little bit on Sunday. Now, Detroit, I think, still outplayed Dallas in that game, and but there was some players on that Detroit team that I think, like, okay, we rolled this team Saturday. We're playing them again. We already did our job for the weekend. Like, I think that we're better. I think having even if it's not a championship, I think having another team presents it's another chance to go prove you're willing to outwork other guys. I think that's
the reason why I asked was because I read what you and Jim talked about. Okay, 3 teams, fine, but you're still getting 2 games, and that's maybe all they want, just 2 games. But I want the competitive edge. I like that you're competing for something beyond just bragging rights or personal exposure of a GM. I like the idea that there's the trophy means nothing, but there's something on the line.
Yeah.
Could you make it 6? You make 2 divisions of 3. They play each other, so there's 2 games for each of those teams, or all 6 of those teams. And then, based on some sort of standings points, 3, 2, 1,
winners play each other.
You have a final. So one team from each of those groups plays a final this year. There's maximum of 3.
The problem is Dallas. Dallas is the problem. Dallas is on an island.
Nothing's close.
Nothing's close. It's one thing for the teams. There's a bunch of teams go to Buffalo and do that. Then between Philly, both New York teams, and in DC, all those teams are all within. Dallas is just an island. It's hard. Like Jim has said, like it's hard to find a partner. That's why Detroit's been a good fit for them right now, because it's hard to find a
Mm-hmm.
partner because of that. So it's hard for that. I mean, so from a Dallas perspective, it's finding a third team, someone else who's a little bit of an outlier, right? Because you're not going to get the LA tournament.
Hey, Nashville's only a 9-hour bus ride away.
I know. Well, I was going to say my hope would be I would love I wouldn't mind Utah personally, because I wouldn't mind my 3-year September plan to go to Traverse City, then be here, and then go to Salt Lake City. Like I would personally,
They
like
have a brand new practice facility
for the Sean Shapiro travel plan.
Yeah.
I personally would hope for it to be Utah, but
Jim,
please Utah.
Where does Spirit Airlines travel? Sean?
Yeah, Frontier doesn't go to
we get
directly.
that
It's
for
a
the
3
Sam
flights.
Frontier
doesn't go anywhere.
It's 3 flights, and you got to get your own seat. No, the one thing I was going to say though about it, all the competitiveness and everything, the one thing I was really surprised about last night was Dallas making that comeback.
Yeah.
As funny as it sounds, the game doesn't matter, the score doesn't matter, but those guys got whooped on Saturday, and they allowed, 4 straight after taking a 2-0 lead, so they had every excuse to go, all right, they're better. Everyone knows they're better. Yeah. They came back, and then they got close again and allowed another one to go down 2 again. I just think something impressed me last night with the way that group came together to be able to do that, because as Led said, there's no trophy, there's no,
and those are little things that they'll look for.
Yeah,
they'll look who led that charge, who is responsible for leading.
And that actually pays off to, you guys were talking about Trey Taylor maybe filling a role because of lack of draft picks down the road in the defensive gap. Well, because they don't have as many picks, they've got to fill their AHL roster. Well, and they have some guys that were not even draft picks, that were free agent invites on this group, or had joined, like Trey Taylor last year with Texas, that stood out to me saying, this guy might be a good Texas start. It might not matter for Dallas in the long run.
Jackson
but
Shooter.
He was one that really stood out.
It's the first chance for a first impression of the season. And no matter what level you're at, because it's obviously Jim Nill is watching and everything like that, and Glenn Goldson are watching. None of these players are going to be Dallas Stars this year, but Toby Peterson's coaching that team. Toby is a new coach coming to the AHL. There is a new opportunity for someone who, not that Neil didn't like them, but every coach has different guys they like, right?
Yes.
So there's a new opportunity
Talked
for
about
first
it with
impression.
Nils Lundqvist.
Everett Sheen, the coach for Idaho, he wasn't coaching on the bench because Texas doesn't have any preseason games, so that's why Toby didn't want him on the bench. He wanted to kind of get used to working with Max Fortunas and Travis Morin, but Everett, the Idaho coach, is sitting there. So for you talk about like a Jackson Footer, or talk about Arnold Tiefense, like
watching
the ECHL coach is right there watching. You never get a second chance for a first impression for these kids to start the season, and that is something that I think, while game 1 was pretty sloppy and they were overmatched, that third period, Sam, is going to be something that people are going to remember when maybe it's a Justin Ertl, right? Maybe when it comes to a late game draw, because Ertl was pretty good in that third period there.
He hit a couple hits. He gave them the board battle that Lud loves.
It's late October, and there's an offensive zone draw against the Iowa Wild, and all of a sudden Toby Peterson is going to have his mind. I can trust Justin Ertl in this situation. Those things go a long way in kind of starting to lay the groundwork for who you are as a player.
Yep, totally agree. We have about 90 seconds left. Does anybody want to talk about Corey Perry, or should we leave that for tomorrow? Yeah. I mean, he's out 6 to 8 weeks because of an injury suffered in their training skate, the captain's skate. Sean was laughing because there was
I think it's called arthritis.
Well,
might have
surgery.
Might have maybe left on a wheelchair.
Might have maybe left. It was a weird report, a headline, but he broke his foot going into his first Stars season, and that's bad timing. So now his Kings debut was going to be pushed back probably. So, all right, that just about does it for us, although Sean has something he wants to point out before we wrap up here in 60 seconds.
My book is on here, but in the acknowledgments, I need to read this because this was written before I would ever knew I would work with Craig Ludwig here to my right. The first interview for this book, where Craig Ludwig relived his time with the Stars and picked up the bar tab, I could not keep up after making it clear there had to be a chapter about the tent. Chapter about the tent in the book.
Well, no surprise there.
There's a lot of those people. You're just the only one that wrote about it.
Yeah.
But he, to his credit, he didn't shy away from it. He made it public and let everybody know.
And then he said to me before we started today, maybe you and I, on Saturday in Pittsburgh, Sean's going to be where we are in Pittsburgh. Why don't we just go up there and watch the Stars game? I'm like, okay, Sean, you want to do that? That's fine with me. Good luck seeing any games on Sunday.
It's fun. Tomorrow, shows at 2 o'clock. We may or may not have another 31 guests. We're still confirming that, but great to have Sean here. For Luds, Sean, Sam, and Ryan, I'm Owen. See you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.